Hi everyone and welcome back to PlanFirst Live. This is our first broadcast for the year. I hope everyone had a happy holiday and ready for the year, invigorated, rested. Today we're going to talk very appropriately. Our topic is design trends for 2026, the year ahead, and how they differ from last year. Before we get started, I'm Sian Larkin. I'm the Manager of Design Services here at PlanFirst Design in Auckland. And welcome to all of you that are watching. Remember, you can put in questions or comments as we go along, and I'll try and get to as many questions as I can while we've got our half an hour slot. So today should be very interesting for anybody who is a homeowner or a designer or anybody just interested in the latest trends. So let's get our presentation up and we can get started. We're going to have a look at architectural, interior design and landscaping design. Some of it will be separated, so it'll be isolated just for landscaping, but a lot of the architectural trends and interior trends are very similar. Mostly for this year, we're focusing on more wellness actually over functionality, whereas in 2025, a lot of the trends were functional, whereas this year it builds still on the functionality, but it looks at it more from a wellness perspective. So sustainability, timelessness, and personalization. First and foremost, we're moving away from last year's trend of, let's call it minimalism, where we had light-colored walls, light-colored floors, clean lines. It was not as many curved forms as what we're seeing at the moment. A lot of smart tech integration as well last year. Again, we're building on that smart tech integration, which we'll get to a little bit later. We had more sparse decoration as well last year. So this year, we're going more into a personal narrative. So it's more about telling a story than what it is about functionality and making a home feel more like it's lived in as opposed to just a showpiece for Pinterest or Instagram. So we're seeing things like vintage armchairs, pottery items, textured layers, and curated artwork. So things that are personal and emotional for the family that actually lives in that space. And then getting to technology, last year we had a lot of functional smart tech. So things like automated lighting, which you can control from your phone, motion sensor, switching on air cons, on timers, so for instance, if the room gets too hot, the air con automatically kicks on. So where it differs this year is, again, it's more about wellness of the space. So for instance, if we look at the example of the air cons, it's not about just switching the air con on when it gets to a certain temperature. The system will also tell you, for instance, if the air has got too much carbon dioxide in it, maybe it's time to open a window. We see things like not just motion sensors for lighting, but motion sensors for falling, so more for the elderly. If somebody does fall, the sensor will pick it up and it'll alert somebody. Things like air quality sensors as well for mental health, noise sensors. If you are in a workspace and the noise levels are a little bit too high, one can address it. Very importantly, what has come into play is with the lighting. They're now looking at circadian lighting techniques, which means the lighting actually follows the 24-hour natural sunlight cycle, and it follows your body's rhythm as well. So the technology is actually enhancing comfort and mental health, as also on top of functionality. Last year was very much about sustainability and materials that are sustainable, solar heating, solar lighting, sustainable materials, recycled materials as well. Whereas this year we're looking a lot, again, building on last year's trends, a lot of rainwater capturing or harvesting this year. Still the passive solar heating, but then also disaster resilient design. So fires especially. So in this image, for instance, they've used a concrete and steel on the ground floor, and they've kept timber to the first floor. And most probably the reason for that is if there is a fire on ground floor, the homeowners will be alerted before it actually sets the building on fire. Green roofs also comes, from many years ago, not just from last year, but where it does assist the home, a green roof is not only in insulation, but also in it reduces your stormwater runoff. So I remember doing a talk last year about spaces and how to use spaces in more than one way to give a room more functionality than just one use. So last year we looked at, for instance, in this example, the foldable desk that could be folded away, and that room can be used as a guest bedroom, for instance. So it was very much about functionality. This year, we retain the functionality, but we create a sense of calm, and it's more about emotional restoration. So we would add mood lighting, a bit of greenery, natural textures, and acoustic comfort, just to actually enhance the experience of being in that space. Yes, it is functional, but it's got the other elements of wellness attached to it as well. Then we're also moving along. Last year, it was very much trend focused. So a lot of following of global trends, minimalistic, and you could then do interchangeable every year, which is not that sustainable. But this year we're looking more at bringing in, as I mentioned previously, that it's more, the rooms are becoming a reflection of personal history and the storytelling of the family who actually occupies that space. So as opposed to it being popular for today, it becomes more timeless. And it can last generations. A lot of family heirlooms are coming back as well. So you can dust off those furniture items that have been in your garage the last 5 years and actually make use of them now. Maybe you can use your garage to actually park your car again. Just in what I was speaking about earlier, the circadian lighting, which mimics the natural patterns of the sun. So how it works is in the morning, it'll have a cool white light, which it's quite bright, and it just increases your awareness so that you're nice and awake and ready for the day. And as the day progresses, as the sun starts setting and it starts getting darker, the hue of the light changes, and it becomes more reflective of what the sunset and warmer light, and it dims and gets the body psychologically ready for relaxation and sleep. The wellness focused sensors, I also just want to touch on a little bit more. If we look at the air quality sensors, I did mention before, not only does it look at temperature now, but it'll sense when there's too much carbon dioxide. It'll prompt you to maybe open a window, open a door, just get a bit of breeze coming through it. The noise sensors, again, tracking the ambient noise, and it just helps to manage distractions. You get smart chairs as well now, which will prompt you if, number one, you've been sitting too long in the same position, and it'll maybe just tell you to have a walk around and take a bit of a break. And it'll also tell you if your posture is incorrect. So, sit up nice and straight, don't slouch, that kind of thing. So, although a chair is functional, it now promotes the wellness aspect as well. If we have a look at landscaping, it follows very much the same principles as the architectural and the interior. Last year, we saw a lot of minimalist gardens, structured lawns, simple patios. This year, it's going more towards wellness with curved pathways, wildflowers, things like, fruit trees, edibles, vegetables, herbs, multi-sensory. So a lot of natural elements are being brought in as well. It's not as structured, it's just softening it a little bit. As far as planting is concerned, last year we saw a lot of tall grasses, local perennials, hedges. Although drought-resistant plants have been a trend for a long time, we are building on that more because we do all want to reduce water usage. This year's trend, more the scented flowers near seating areas. We've spoken about that before as well. The fruit trees, herbal lavender borders, just things that enhance the tactile and the sensory part of it. So a lot of biodiverse planting, things that are therapeutic, also increasing the indoor-outdoor integration. If we look at outdoor living, last year was very functional. So you would have seating area, built-in barbecue, your dining tables and chairs, or your outdoor tables and chairs. Whereas this year we're bringing in, again, the aspect of wellness. So it's becoming more a wellness outdoor room. So a corner for meditation or for yoga, bringing in some natural water elements, a small fountain, maybe some koi fish, some fire pits, so that it becomes just a wellness place and a place for meditation, enjoying company, friends around, family around. And then technology. So this is quite an interesting one. Last year's functionality was, for instance, having a timer system on your irrigation. So let's say, for instance, 3 days a week, the irrigation system would come on between, 10 o'clock and 12 o'clock in the day, or maybe that's not a good time because that's quite a hot time. But nevertheless, it had a set program that it worked with. Also, your automated lighting would be motion censored. So if somebody walks down the path, the lights would go on. This year, we're moving more to soil sensors. So instead of the irrigation just coming on 3 days a week, the sensor will sensor when the soil is dry, and then the sprinklers will come on. So, you're not overwatering or underwatering. The LED lighting doesn't just come on when somebody walks past it, it also adjusts to the time of the day. So it can have a hue or a lighter. So that is very much based on the natural light around at that time. And then we're also seeing subtle sound systems for relaxation, maybe with some, if you don't have a water feature, you could have the sound system with the sound of running water or birds or the like. Materials, last year we saw a lot of concrete, a lot of stone, wooden decking. This year, again, we're building on the same thing, but we're using a lot of reclaimed materials, a lot of gravel, textured stone for seating, and the decking would, we try and then use the reclaimed materials for those areas. So yeah, you can see that in this image. There are not much changes in the design, it's just the materials that you're using are different. A couple of questions before we get to next week's topic, which is an exciting one. Let's have a look. This is an interesting question. What is a rain garden? So a rain garden, essentially, what you're trying to do with that is you're trying to harvest rainwater. So instead of it, when it rains, you've got all this runoff that just goes into the stormwater system, you try and create patches that are dug out, and then rainwater can accumulate there, and you would normally have a lot of planting around it or even in it to create just a small little system on its own, just to harvest that rainwater in a natural way, not in a tank, but naturally on the site so that it doesn't just all run off. Let's have a look at the next one. How are interior trends connecting to outdoor trends? Biophilic planting that we spoke about last time as well is when you've got, say for instance, you've got a specific type of plant inside, you would repeat that plant on the outside. Obviously, it would have to have the same conditions inside and outside. You wouldn't be able to plant, obviously, a plant that needs sun indoors, but you can transition in that way. So you might have a big glass window, and on the outside, you've got a planting space with certain plants in it. On the inside of that window, you could have a pot plant that maybe mirrors what you have in the outside. So that is one way that we're doing it. And also with textures, we are seeing more natural textures being used indoors as well. So maybe having the same floor finish on the outside and the inside, maybe just a little bit more refined on the inside. You could have, let's call it a timber floor finish. And on the outside, let's say we're using mahogany on the inside as an example. Your deck on the outside could be the reclaimed mahogany, which could be reclaimed from buildings that are being demolished to make space for new developments. A lot of those elements that are being taken out, the steel work, brickwork even, a lot of those are being reclaimed, and it's just in a effort to increase the sustainability and the, everybody wants to do their bit for sustainability, and that's a good way that it's being done. Let's see what other questions we have. Okay, this is, I kind of just touched on this now. What are examples of reclaimed materials? Timber would be that good example. Steel as well, even if you don't use it maybe in a setting like this and you use it exactly the way it's been used before, the steel is still being repurposed. So it would go back and, be melted down and used for something else as opposed to going to a dump site and just lying there till the end of time. Okay, this one. Dalsha says, what materials are trending? Any material that is organic, recycled, gives you a feeling of wellness. It's very much moving back to natural materials. That is definitely the trend this year. Yeah, it's such a broad question. Stone obviously is always popular. Gravel as well. We're just using it in different ways. So instead of last year, we would have used it maybe in more straight lines and a more formal way. We're moving more towards the curved lines, especially on the outside, maybe more curved walkways, gravel in between, reclaimed stone as the main stepping stones instead of using maybe square precast concrete blocks. So that is the way it is moving at the moment. Let's see what other questions we do have. Oh, this is interesting. What are the benefits of circadian lighting? Firstly, it definitely does help with your sleep patterns because the lighting's mimicking what happens outside. You know, I often think of gamers that game until 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, they surrounded by bright lights and noise and adrenaline and, you know, playing whatever game it is that they're playing. So that is the absolute opposite of what this lighting is trying to do. So it's just trying to ease you into the evening, dimming the lights, giving it a warmer glow, which, you know, obviously if you get enough sleep, it's going to increase, or, you know, your mood is going to be better, your productivity is going to be better. It supports eye health as well because you've got the softer, dimmer lights in the evening. So your whole body just then starts slowing down and just promoting overall wellness, really. Let's see, we do have time for a couple more. What is the main design style trend for 2026? I would say the number one would be wellness. So wellness is being promoted in a big way. Sustainability is there and it has been around for a long time. It's not going anywhere. But wellness is definitely, we're building on the wellness. We saw it starting last year, but definitely it's getting a stronger focus this year. And in the landscaping, I would say multi-sensory experiences. So with the biodiversity in the landscaping, you want to promote not only the edibles, but you want to bring insects back into your garden and birds. Just a lot more nature, really. So yeah, that is what I would say as far as landscaping goes. But yeah, just wellness. I think focusing on wellness is the biggest one, and curved lines as opposed to the structured square lines that we've seen previously. How is sustainability reflected in landscape design? Well, I think rainwater harvesting, using the soil sensors so that you don't waste water by overwatering. Also with the sensors for watering, it'll water when it's cool enough that the water is not going to just evaporate. You know, and you've got the drip sensors as well for drip watering. So a lot of sustainable ways that you can deal with landscape design. Green roofs is great as well. Again, not only insulating the house, but also, so it actually works for inside and outside. It insulates the house and it also prevents that much runoff, water runoff. And I think it's aesthetically great to have a green roof. Let's see if there's any other questions that we can look at that we haven't covered. I think we've basically covered all of them. So what I would like to end off with is next week's topic, which is going to be a great one, and I think it'll be of interest to a lot of people. Let's just get rid of these comments. So next week, we're going to be talking about kitchens and the do's and don'ts. So what are the principles of kitchen design? What is the best lighting? Bench tops that are fashionable or trendy or reclaimed bench tops. We'll have a look at all of that. We'll have a look at kitchen lighting. What is the best way to do that? Integrated appliances, anything to do with kitchen design, not only trendy kitchen design, but good kitchen design, the golden triangle. I'm sure most of you know about that. If any of you have got any other questions or comments, you're welcome to contact us. We do have a website where you can reach us. We also have a Facebook page. So feel free to contact us, even our 0800 number, any of those platforms, you'll be able to reach us. And we look forward to seeing you again next week at the same time. Have a good week, everyone. And we look forward to next week. Bye-bye.